choosing your removal in a standard deck can be a nightmare. And that's when you're not stuck in red and having to use damage like some sort of cave person. But if you are stuck in red as your removal color, 5 damage is a very important breakpoint to get to. WotC have done an excellent job at stratifying threats in most of their newer formats into the 3, 4, and 5 range, and really making the difference between each of those toughnesses actually quite relevant. Whether you're talking about trading a 2-mana 3/2 with a 3-mana 3/3, or having a bunch of nice big square 4/4s getting absolutely blocked out by a group of 4/5 creatures, there is a push and pull to toughnesses and damage-based removal in any standard meta that is, I think, quite fun. And while 3 damage removal is allowed to be quick and efficient, 4 and 5 is a whole nother beast. But relatively recently, Wizards has embraced the idea of a 2-mana sorcery speed 5 damage removal spell. If your opponent is relying on a Base of the Bounding Spring or an abhorrent Oculus to keep themselves alive, a 2-mana spell to remove it can be absolutely life-changing when you're also wanting to spend the other 3 mana on your turn 5 on, say, a Screaming Nemesis. Although if you are playing a Screaming Nemesis, you should realistically be playing the Screaming Nemesis, attacking with the Screaming Nemesis, and then scorching shotting your Screaming Nemesis for an additional 5 points of damage. We actually have a couple of options for this in Standard right now, and if, like me, you're wondering why seemingly the worst of all of them, Twin-Maw Stormbrood, is seeing the most play, well, you've come to the right place. Like and subscribe. In the before times, 2 ban waves ago, Sheoldred was annihilating Standard, and Witchstalker Frenzy cleanly removed her for 2 or sometimes even only a single mana. It was the absolute best. And then the Sheoldred deck was nerfed into oblivion, and people mostly didn't have to play Witchstalker Frenzy anymore, a powerful but unreliable card, until Screaming Nemesis was printed, and Witchstalker Frenzy became 1 mana, deal 5 damage to my opponent's face, and they also can't gain life for the rest of the game. Look, I'm a mono-red player, and I love Screaming Nemesis, but that is not okay. Outlaws of Thunder Junction gave us Scorching Shot, really the baseline textbook example of what this removal spell is supposed to be. I think 2 mana, 5 damage, sorcery speed. It saw some play. I didn't personally see it because it didn't see play on the ladder where I am, but I saw it pop up in best of 3 decks all of the time, so I assume it's much more relevant in those formats. And to be fair, there are a lot of things in Standard right now that really need a 5 damage spell pointed at them. Beza, Oculus, every Overlord, Una. So I was always a bit surprised to see Twin-Maw Stormbrood showing up in lists. I mean, it costs 1 generic mana instead of 1 red pip, but it can't hit Abhorrent Oculus, which feels like a massive oversight to me. The answer, of course, to any deck building puzzle is to look at the rest of the deck. Imagine that. Twin-Maw Stormbrood was an excellent piece of removal. It was pretty much a side grade to Scorching Shot. It cleared off a lot of the creatures that you really needed off the board. And importantly, while it was in the library, it had a mana value greater than its actual casting cost. Because the creature side of Twin-Maw Stormbrood is a 6 mana spell, meaning that Trumpeting Carnosaur decks could play this. Stormbrood even allowed you another pull at the slot machine if you included it in a Breaching Dragonstorm deck, and gave you a 5/4 flying and 5 life to boot. In the mirror match, it even doesn't die to Twin-Maw Stormbrood. It's not the first time that competitive players have latched onto a suboptimal card because outside of the stack or the battlefield, it is not the card that it seems at first glance, and Wizards is well aware of this. All of the Dragon Omens were designed around the fact that they are going to be utility in some form, but they are also going to be dragons in other zones. Behold, a dragon was a mechanic entirely based around the fact that there are more dragons than usual in this set because of the whole concept of omens. And Behold is the mechanic that really brought Twin-Maw Stormbrood into the limelight, because Sarkhan Dragon Ascendant was pushing for essentially mono-red dragons to be a thing from day one. This guy is, if you put everything together, a 1 mana 3/3 on the attack, and even ramps you for a turn, an effect that is absolutely cracked in mono-red. What he needed was just a critical mass of mono-red spells that happen to be dragons. And with the printing of Nova Hellkite in Edge of Eternities, the Sarkhan Stormbrood combo was absolutely enough to get there. It's fantastic. It's still not quite as reliable as we would like it to be, especially in mono red where we're not ever casting the top half of Stormbrood, and on ladder where the 5 mana breakpoint is less important than, say, bolt waving your opponent constantly. But Twin-Maw Stormbrood has more than earned its place, almost entirely off the back of its Omen being a largely new, still being tested uncommon archetype, and the absolute mess that is Magic's mana cheating system. God bless Discover.